Delivery guys, share your weirdest stories with us. Pizza, UPS, furniture, Geek Squad, etc. I delivered pizza for many years. There was this regular who was a pretty good tipper, so we were always fighting over who got to deliver to this guy. I got lucky and brought him his unusually large order. Turns out he was having a little get-together and there were a bunch of dudes in his apartment. I saw a lot of little glass bowls all around the kitchen and a couple more on the kitchen table. I then realized that all the dudes were holding fistfuls of money and that the bowls were filled with betta fish. They were betting on fish fights. I am not a delivery guy, but one year I was doing some work for one of the major shipping companies. It's the Christmas season, which is their busiest time of year. One night one of their delivery guys picks up his truck full of packages to start his shift, and there's some problem with his paperwork. He heads back into the shipping hub office to straighten it out, leaving his keys in the ignition like an idiot. He comes back out and the truck's been stolen. The punchline is that many of the packages in the truck ended up being delivered to their appropriate destinations. I guess someone wanted to steal a parcel truck without pulling a Grinch? Pizza delivery in college in central Pennsylvania. Relevant background information: I'm Korean. Arrived at the front door of an older couple's house with a large pie in hand. When I rang the doorbell, the woman came out and I said, "I have your delivery." She looks at me puzzlingly and says, "We didn't order no Chinese food." Of course, I had to explain that I was just the delivery guy and I had their large pizza in hand. Pizza delivery, went to this guy's house, and the door was open with a screen door in front of it. Rang the doorbell like 3 times, no answer. Called like twice, and I can hear the phone ringing in this guy's house. The phone was actually on a table that I could view. So I call a 3rd time and this big fat pimply white guy comes down the stairs in nothing but a leopard man thong/speedo or whatever and goes to pick up the phone. "Hello? Hello, this is the pizza delivery guy, I'm at your front door." He just turned his head and saw me looking at him, dropped the phone, and he ran upstairs. I got a nice tip. Pizza guy here. Was offered heroin as a tip. Was invited inside to drink beer and eat a slice of the pizza I delivered as a tip. Had to wait while they finished up before they answered the door. Wife pays for pizza. As I walk back to the car, husband is walking up the sidewalk. He asks how much his wife tipped. I say $2. He mouths something and hands me $10. The total on the order was near $100. Edit, to clarify. I delivered pizza for many years. There was this regular who was a pretty good tipper, so we were always fighting over who got to deliver to this guy. I got lucky and brought him his unusually large order. Turns out he was having a little get-together and there were a bunch of dudes in his apartment. I saw a lot of little glass bowls all around the kitchen and a couple more on the kitchen table. I then realized that all the dudes were holding fistfuls of money and that the bowls were filled with betta fish. They were betting on fish fights. Delivery related, but not the actual deliverer. For 3 years in high school I worked at a UPS store. This is the place where I learned how fucking weird people could be. In the front of the store we had mailboxes, with several strange and very interesting customers. There was a guy who was an African Muslim who had a box at our store for about 3 months. He would always receive these beat-up packages from overseas, usually from somewhere in the Middle East. One day when our driver dropped off a package for him, he turns to me and says, "Look, I don't know who this guy is, but there's definitely something suspicious about him. His packages smell really weird." Curiosity gets the best of my coworker, and we check out this package, which the site is ripping off of. We peek in there, and inside are about 6 opium poppies hidden inside hollowed-out lettuce. We knew it was opium because my coworker was a fan of its products. The guy noticed that his package was open when he came in. I once delivered a sofa to my own house that my wife had bought without consulting me. I worked for Circuit City and I was one of the people who delivered and set up TVs and computers. There was this one time we were delivering a computer to this older lady. She looked like she was in her 60s. When we arrived to her house, which was in the middle of nowhere, we hear 9-inch nails blasting from the house. This must be an awesome old lady. She invites us in and while we set up her new computer she turns off the music and starts blasting lesbian porn on her gigantic TV. We both just kind of ignore this and continue with setting up the computer in the most awkward silence possible. She then starts to talk to us about how she used to be a porn star and be really into bondage and how she would like us to stay longer. It is me, an 18-year-old kid, and my boss, 40-year-old ex-Marine, and he just goes, "Well, I'm married but I'm sure he wouldn't mind." She starts hitting on me quite a bit harder. It got to the point where we just left in the most awkward silence. Until we got to. I used to deliver pizzas in college. One delivery took exactly 8 minutes, and that included 6 minutes of cooking time. The pizza place was about 3 blocks from the dorm I was delivering. The order was 10.98. She gave me 11 and waited for changed. I signed loudly, counted out 2 pennies, and then the chick said it's alright. Keep the change. I stood there for a second with 2 pennies in my hand. I looked at my hand, looked at her, looked at my hand again, flipped my palm and watched the pennies hit the ground. I walked back to the car and took off. If you're going to tip, don't insult me with 2 cents. I'd rather receive no tip than 2 cents. Not my story, but was on the news recently. Customers called to place an order for pizza delivery, did not fully hang up. The delivery person overheard their whole plan of robbing the delivery person when he shows up. The delivery person called the cops, they went in undercover as the delivery boy, the customers beat up the cop and got arrested.